My husband's childhood sweetheart died. A wandering Taoist priest said that if you choose a woman of extreme yin born in an inauspicious month and hour, and feed her decoctions for 99 days, you can let the childhood sweetheart be reborn and possess her body as luck would have it. My 8 characters fit perfectly, so my husband coaxed and deceived me. Yun Ying, you're ill, go to the hot spring estate to recuperate for 3 months, I'll bring you medicine every day. I was under house arrest while strolling around the estate. I heard the farmers chatting. A piglet born under an ill-fated moon and hour is unlucky. Even if you raise it, you can't eat it. My eyes lit up. Look, the decoction personally brewed by my husband. The little piglet is eating it with great relish. I will raise it myself. The farmer rubbed his rough hands, lowering his voice with a troubled look. Madam, you don't know, there's an old saying around here, pigs of ill times, the king of hell's meat, whoever takes a bite shortens their life. This beast was born of an evil person. Even if raised it would bring disaster. No one in the village dares take it, and even the butchers refuse to take it. Your noble body would bring bad luck touching such a thing. It's fine, idle is idle. I really was idle. My husband Lu Zun blindfolded me and brought me to this sparsely populated mountain hollow, arranging everything neatly, hot springs, gardens, a cook, maids, all present, except he refused to give me horses or the token to leave the mansion. At dusk they brought a bowl of medicine, thick, bitter, and black, saying it was a tonic to nourish the body. Today is the first day drinking it. It's too bitter. I absolutely can't get it down, so I came out for a walk. The farmer left. I carried over the medicine bowl Lu Zun had sent and dumped it all into the pig's trough, then filled a big bucket of pig feed. The piglet hadn't eaten for 2 days. Now it was wolfing it down, licking the dregs of the medicine clean, fragrant and delicious. I carried the empty bowl and sauntered to the gate of the estate, returning it to the young servant delivering the medicine. Lu Shu, Madam looks much better today, he flattered. I leaned against the doorframe, my tone lazy. The medicine brewed by my lord with his own hands truly works wonders. To be honest, my chest has felt tight these days, always stifled and heavy, but after drinking this bowl, I feel much more at ease. It's probably the power of love. Lu Shu was taken aback, a hint of disdain showing. This humble one will convey the madam's words to the master without missing a single word. Sorry to trouble you. I nodded gently and softly. Please take another message for me. Yun Ying knows her husband is busy with official duties and doesn't dare to ask him to be with her all the time. She only hopes he'll come see her when he has some free time. Lu Shu accepted the order and left. I watched his figure disappear and slowly let the smile fade from my face. Dusk gathered. The distant mountains stood like a deep indigo screen, sealing this manor off from the outside world. There was no way I could escape. All I could do was wait for the 99 days to pass, and be possessed by Lu Zun's little childhood sweetheart, who would die of illness, too. My name is Shin Yunying. I was the daughter of an ordinary family, selling apricot blossoms in spring to supplement the family income. The places where flowers are sold are mostly street corners frequented by the wealthy. Last spring, I met the wealthy young lady Xue Qingyu. She was frail and pale, with eyes glistening like 2 pools of sorrow that wouldn't dissolve. She said the apricot blossoms were bright and wanted to buy a bouquet. The handsome man in official robes at her side, hearing this, took out a silver ingot and bought all my flowers. I had thought they were husband and wife, the man handsome and refined, the woman delicate and frail, and they did make quite a matched pair standing together. Who would have thought that on the 3rd day, Lu Zun would suddenly come to propose to me? He said that when buying flowers that day, he fell for me at first sight, and after returning home he tossed and turned, so he rashly and presumptuously approached the lady. I was a bit surprised. Isn't Miss Xue your wife? Lu Zun said that Xue Qingyu was in poor health and unable to consummate a marriage, so even at 20 she hadn't wed. The Xue family disliked this sickly girl and drove her out. Lu Zun was her childhood companion and took her in. Lu Zun looked at me gently. There is nothing between me and Qingyu. He spoke with righteous conviction, but I didn't believe him. I'm a small-time business person, best at reading people. When Lu Zun looks at Xue Qingyu, his gaze is tender and affectionate, feelings lingering like the misty rains of late spring. As for Xue Qingyu, she clings to Lu Zun all the time, the two of them practically like conjoined twins with feelings that deep. I'm not willing to meddle for no reason. Besides, I'm a poor flower seller, while Lu Xun is the lofty Shaoqing of the Dali temple. Our families are mismatched, and no matter how you look at it, this marriage is suspicious, so I declined politely. But on the second day after I refused the marriage, my father was thrown into prison. The charge was theft. My father is an honest man who's never taken a single needle or thread from anyone in his life. This charge is clearly a frame-up, I begged in vain. The county Yamen pushed it to the prefectural Yamen, and the prefectural Yamen said the case had already been submitted to the Dali temple. I kept appealing all the way up for 3 days, but no one paid me any mind. In the end, I had no choice but to ask Lu Xun. Lu Xun wore a white crane official robe, standing tall and elegant, looking at me with tender warmth. I knelt on the ground and recounted the whole story. After a long time, he finally reached out and helped me up. He said with exceptional gentleness that as long as I married him, saving my father-in-law would be a natural matter, and outsiders wouldn't gossip. His tone was so mild, his gaze so sincere. It was as if this marriage truly was a perfect match benefiting both sides. I could only marry him. Father was saved. 3 months after marrying, Lu Xun was indeed gentle and considerate. My clothes and daily necessities were the best, silks and brocades, jeweled ornaments, brought into my room like a steady stream. The maids called me madam, the servants bowed when they saw me. There were carriages when I went out and attendants when I returned. This poor girl from a humble home was enjoying the luxury and status of a lady. There were no in-laws or sisters-in-law at the Lu residence, so life was originally very peaceful. Aside from Xue Qingyu's occasional antics, one day she claimed a headache and wanted Lu Xun to keep her company. The next she said her chest felt tight and asked Lu Xun to bring medicine. The day after that she said she dreamed of the past and wept. Insisting on seeing Lu Xun, she caused a stir frequently. Watching her grow thinner by the day, gradually unable to get out of bed or walk, I actually began to feel sorry for her. A young woman, bedridden at such a tender age, unable to enjoy even the ordinary affection of husband and wife, can only watch helplessly as the man she loves marries someone else. I even thought that, if she truly could get better, I would be willing to give Lu Xun to her. After all, this marriage wasn't something I sought in the first place. I took her place. It's only natural that she feels upset. Later, she died. The funeral was conducted with great dignity. Lu Xun kept vigil at the mourning hall for 3 days and even performed rites at night with chanting and music. I couldn't sleep, so I got up to stroll around. The moonlight was lovely, making the courtyard look as if it were dusted with frost. As I walked near the study, I heard Lu Xun speaking with a Daoist priest. The priest's voice was hoarse and low. "Sir, I told you last year, if Miss Xue is to be resurrected, you need an extremely yin woman born in an evil month at an evil hour. Feed her human blood for 99 days, and Miss Xue's soul can be reborn into that woman. You are indeed efficient in getting things done. You've found someone so quickly. Poor that flower-selling woman surnamed Shen, still dreaming she'll become the legitimate head wife of the Lu household." Lu Xun was silent for a moment, then said calmly, "For Qingyu, I'm willing to do anything. Shen Yunying is just a girl from a poor family, enjoy 6 months of wealth and glory, then go die by the books. She's made out like a bandit." The moonlight stretched my shadow long and thin, like a withered blade of grass bent by the wind. The next day, Lu Xun said to me, "Yun Ying, the imperial physician says you're ill. For now, go to the hot spring manor to recuperate for 3 months. Then I was sent to this secluded mountain estate. The carriage was draped in black cloth and traveled for a full day and night. I can't see the road at all at Zhuangzi." The maidservants lowered their heads and folded their hands respectfully. Not a single one was familiar to me. A brand new brass lock hung on Zhuangzi's main gate, and the key was in the hands of the medicine delivering page, Lu Shu. Only during the medicine delivery would the gate be opened. Because my family is poor and powerless, my parents are old, and I'm mild-tempered, Lu Xun wasn't afraid I'd notice anything unusual, nor that I'd run away or kill myself. I was confined like a piglet penned up, waiting to be sent to market. Only, Lu Xun probably doesn't know that on this estate, I'm not the only mother born in an unlucky time. In month 3, the servant Lu Shu delivered medicine for 10 days. Each time he waited outside the manor gate, afraid I might take a single step out. I would take the bowl, use the excuse of going back for candied fruit, and carry it around to the pigsty to feed the decoction. To the piglets, the little pig has already warmed up to me, lying against the fence and mooing softly. As soon as the medicine is poured in, it buries its head and starts eating vigorously, chewing with claps and clatters, its tail shaking like a tambourine. I am very satisfied, but the young servant Lu Shu began to feel that something was off. This medicine was drunk too completely. There was not a speck of medicine dregs left. That evening at dusk, Lu Shu did not hand me the bowl as he usually did. Instead he turned slightly, standing in the doorway. "Madam, the master says today's medicine is strong and fears you won't take to it. He asked me to watch you finish it with my own eyes before I leave." A pang hit me, but my face remained impassive. I even curled the corner of my mouth. "My husband is thoughtful. It's just that this medicine is very bitter. I'm used to sipping it slowly and then sucking on a candied plum when I'm done." A grown man standing there watching makes me rather uncomfortable. "Forgive me, madam." Lu Shu's smile didn't change, and his feet didn't move an inch. "The Lord warned me over and over. I wouldn't dare disobey." I looked at him, and he looked at me. Behind me, the two guards Lu Shu brought stood to the left and right, like two door gods. "It seems that if I don't drink, they won't give me, this lady, a shred of respect anymore." I lowered my eyes and let out a soft laugh. "All right then, I'll do as you wish." I took the medicine bowl and turned to walk into the manor. As expected, Lu Shu followed me up. I pushed open the door, walked over to the table and sat down, catching a glimpse out the back window. Beyond the bamboo fence, the little black pig was dozing by the stone trough, its ears flapping back and forth. It was too far away. If I carried the bowl over to the back window to pour it out, even someone as dense as Lu Shu would notice something was off. "Madam." Lu Shu stood by the door, his tone urging. I picked up the bowl, the steam from the medicine wafting onto my face, that fishy bitterness drilling straight into my nose. "I really don't want to drink it." I suddenly seemed to remember something and lowered my head to look at the table. This table is made of rosewood, its surface broad and its four legs sturdy. A velvet table skirt is spread over it, hanging to the floor and hiding everything underneath the table completely. A thought stirred in my chest. "Fine, pinch my nose and drink it," I muttered to myself, brought the bowl to my lips, and made a show of tilting my head back to finish it at the same time. My other hand quietly reached under the table and lifted a corner of the velvet cloth. The rim of the bowl touched my lips, but the medicine didn't enter my mouth. I used my sleeve to shield it and tilted the bowl slightly. The dark decoction ran down the side of the bowl and, without a sound, fell into the gap revealed under the table. 1 drop, 2 drops, 3 drops. While I drank, I used my peripheral vision to watch Lu Shu. He stood at the door and could only see me lift the bowl and tilt my head back. He couldn't see the true state at the bottom of the bowl. I kept the tilted posture, deliberately making swallowing motions in my throat. Gulp, gulp, one after another, as if for real. "Madam has a good tolerance for alcohol." "No, a good tolerance for medicine," Lu Shu teased from the doorway. I ignored him and continued to drink. A faint rustling came from under the table. The little black pig had woken up at some point and had slipped in from the fence outside the back window. Crawling under the table, it tilted its head back, its nostrils twitching, and accurately found the spill of medicine spreading on the floor. It stuck out its tongue and began to lick. My hand steadied even more, and I poured all the remaining medicine from the bowl out onto the floor. The little black pig buried its snout and licked vigorously, its tongue scraping the floor with a sizzle. Before long it had licked the medicine out of the grout between the tiles until it was completely clean. Not a drop wasted. I set the empty bowl on the table, fished a candied fruit from the dish and popped it into my mouth, and mumbled, "It's unbearably bitter." Lu Shu leaned over, glanced at the empty bowl on the table, then at the spotless floor, and the trace of doubt on his face finally faded. He bowed with a smile. "Madam, you've worked hard. I'll go back and report. When my lord learns of it he'll surely be pleased." I nodded while holding the candied fruit, my voice soft and saccharine. "Please thank my husband for me. Lu Shu left, I listened to his footsteps fade away until the bronze lock on the manor gate fell back into place with a dull click. I finally lifted the tablecloth. The little black pig squatted by my feet, tilting its head up, its small eyes shining as it looked at me, its tail wagging with delight. "You really are my lucky star." I reached out and scooped it up, holding it in my arms. 10 days have passed, 89 days left, for I haven't been idle these days either. There were quite a few maids in the Zhuang household, and they were bored sitting around all day, so I often pulled them into conversation. We chatted about everything under the sun, from the cook's skills to the gardener's private affairs, from the temperature of the hot springs to the bustle of the market at the foot of the mountain. The more we talked, the more we began to pick up some know-how. There was a maid named Kuya who came from the Lu household in Jinling. She knew more of the old stories than the others. She was young and talkative. Once she started speaking, she chattered on, and no one could stop her. One afternoon I invited her into the room for tea. While we were drinking, I casually asked about Xue Qingyu. "Kuya, how long have you been at the Lu residence?" "Madam, I was born in the household. I've been here 15 years. Have you ever met Miss Xue?" Kuya's expression changed slightly, as if she wanted to speak but didn't dare. I smiled, picked up a piece of Osmanthus cake from the plate, and handed it to her. "I'm just asking casually. Don't be afraid. She's already gone. What could I possibly have to hold against her?" Kuya took the pastry, bit into it, and still opened her mouth. "I've seen her. Miss Xue is not well. She often stays at the residence for a short while. The master is very kind to her, always letting her pick the best things first. Once Miss Xue said she wanted candied chestnuts from the south of the city, so the master personally rode out in the middle of the night to buy them, forcing the shopkeeper, who was about to sleep, to get up and roast them." "What does she like to do in her usual life?" "Miss Xue likes reading, especially poetry and lyrics. She often sits in the garden, sunning herself while turning the pages. She also likes calligraphy, saying that her father once hired a famous teacher to instruct her, and her small ornamental regular script is extremely beautiful, but she is frail and gets tired after writing only a few characters, so the master grinds ink and lays out paper for her and sits beside her to keep her company." I nodded slightly and took note in silence. "Then how does she speak? Any habits?" Kua pondered for a moment. "Miss Xue speaks in a soft, slow voice, as if afraid of startling someone. When she smiles, she also covers her mouth, not showing her teeth, and," Kuya lowered her voice, with a hint of gossip, "she never called him master or sir, she called him Brother Lu." The master was very pleased and always answered softly and kindly. "Brother Lu." I repeated the address, my tongue against the roof of my mouth, finding it a bit amusing. "What else? Anything else?" Kuya scratched her head. "Miss Xue likes sweets, especially lotus seed soup. She needs double the sugar. She gets cold easily. Even in summer she insists on wearing a thin cloak. She dislikes incense because it gives her headaches, so her room is only decorated with fresh fruit, using the fruit's fragrance to scent the room." Kuya chattered on all afternoon. I listened carefully the whole time, asking the occasional question, piecing together Xue Qingyu's preferences, habits, way of speaking, and her gait bit by bit. After she left, I sat by the window, staring into the dusk for a long while. Xue Qingyu is such a vividly alive woman. I, Shen Yunying, actually don't want to harm her, but if I don't feed the medicine to the little black pig, the one who dies will be me. I have no choice. After zoning out for a while, I got up and went to the dressing table. Facing the bronze mirror, I began to practice. More than a month had passed. I stood before the bronze mirror, adjusting my posture bit by bit. Xue Qingyu walked slowly, her steps delicate and small, as if treading on clouds, heels touching down first, toes following gently, her whole person light and airy, as though a gust of wind could blow her away. So I walked like that too, slowing my pace, shortening my stride, lowering my center of gravity, cultivating that fragile, wind-blown air. Xue Qingyu spoke softly, her voice squeezed out of her throat, thin and tender, each word like something held in the mouth, reluctant to be let out. So I spoke like that too, lowering my voice, slowing my pace, drawing out the final syllables. With a faint, barely there coquettishness, Xue Qingyu smiled without showing her teeth, covering the corner of her mouth with a handkerchief, her eyes curved, carrying a touch of shyness, so I smiled the same way, pressing my lips together, lowering my eyelids, and when I smiled I turned my head slightly, revealing a sliver of slender neck. Shwe Qingyu sat with perfect poise, her back straight, hands folded on her knees, toes together, like a noble lady stepped out of a meticulous Gongbi painting. I sat the same way, stomach in and chest out, radiating elegance, refusing to relax even a fraction despite the ache in my back and waist at first, no matter how I looked in the mirror. I felt awkward. I grew up in the countryside, striding with a breeze, speaking forthrightly, laughing so hard I doubled over, and slouching every which way when I sat. Asking me to change all of this is like forcing a wild tree into a flower pot, pruning every branch and leaf, breaking every root and runner. It hurt so much I grit my teeth, but I kept practicing through the pain. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 10 days, 20 days, 30 days. Gradually, the person in the mirror began to look unfamiliar. She sits upright with impeccable poise, a faint smile always resting at the corner of her lips. When she walks, the hem of her skirt doesn't stir, like a willow twig brushed by the wind. When she speaks, her voice is soft and gentle, every word like cotton candy dipped in honey. She isn't like Shen Yunyin. She was like a healthy, lively, able to run and jump, able to speak and laugh. Shwe Qingyu. I face the mirror and gently curl my lips, revealing a Shwe Qingyu-style smile. Then I hear my own voice, floating lightly out of my throat. Brother Lu. Maid Xiaotsue looked at me in startled uncertainty. Madam, have you been possessed by Miss Shwe? I smiled faintly. Hush. Day 99 at dawn, Zhuangzi's gate suddenly opened. It was my good husband, Lu Zun. He had come to pick up his resurrected childhood sweetheart, Shwe Qingyu. 5. A grand entourage poured in, maids, pages, and guards, carrying trunks and cages, bearing brocade boxes, filing in one after another with swift, deft hands. They swept the courtyard, laid out furnishings, lit incense, and hung red drapes. Within the time it takes to drink a cup of tea, the entire manor was completely transformed. I understood in my heart, according to what the Taoist said, Shwe Qingyu's time to be reborn had arrived. I picked up a comb and slowly smoothed my hair, then tied it into a loose bun and slanted a white magnolia hairpin through it. This was the hairpin Shwe Qingyu loved most in her former life. I specially had Kuya draw the design and asked someone to have it made accordingly. I changed into a moon-white dress, the lapels embroidered with a few pale pink apricot blossoms. Shwe Qingyu loved apricot blossoms. I faced the bronze mirror and took one last look. The woman in the mirror was gentle and composed, like a rare orchid raised in a greenhouse, delicate, slender, and quietly captivating. I nodded in satisfaction, rose to my feet, and walked out of the room at an unhurried pace. In the courtyard, the sunlight was just right. Lu Zun was dressed in a dark everyday robe, his posture straight as a pine, his brows knit slightly, carrying a certain solemnity and expectation before a long-awaited reunion. Hearing footsteps, he looked up, his gaze slowly drifted over my face, settled on my hairpin, the white jade magnolia, and then on my lapel, the few pale pink apricot blossoms, before finally returning to my eyes. His lips parted slightly, trembling. Qingyu. Then I spoke. My voice was delicate and soft, like a March spring breeze brushing over the surface of a lake. Brother Lu, you're here. 6. Lu Zun suddenly gripped my hand, his Adam's apple bobbed several times before he forced out a sentence. Qingyu. Is it really you? I gently tried to pull my hand back, but of course, it wouldn't budge, so I stopped struggling, merely tilted my head slightly and showed a shy smile. Brother Lu, you're hurting me. Lu Zun yanked me into his arms, his chin resting on the crown of my head, and said with deep feeling, Qingyu, Qingyu. He repeated this name over and over. Lu Zun cried. The junior assistant minister of the Dali Temple, Lord Lu, usually stern and impartial, was at this moment crying like a child who had lost and found something precious. I felt not the slightest ripple in my heart, but I still gently patted his back and said softly, Don't cry, Brother Lu. Haven't I come back now? Good that you're back, good that you're back. Footsteps sounded from behind, a wandering Taoist approached, flicked his whisk, and with a smiling face clasped his hands. Congratulations, my lord. Felicitations, my lord. This poor Taoist already calculated it. The 99 days of medicine were not in vain. Every drop fell upon the extremely yin woman's body. Now Miss Shue's soul is steady and firmly rooted. The great work is complete. Lu Xun finally let go of me, his voice still hoarse. These days, you've been wronged. I haven't. I lowered my head, my voice soft. I know Brother Lu is doing it for my own good. No sooner had he finished speaking, a shrill squeal of a pig came from the backyard before anyone could react. A black shadow burst out from the moon gate. It was the little black pig. It didn't know what had gotten into it, digging at the ground with all four hooves, charging about wildly, letting out rapid, agitated grunts. It had gone mad. It rammed into the maid's tea tray and sent it flying, then knocked over the flower pot in the corner, and finally charged straight at Lu Xun. Protect the Lord. Lu Shu drew his blade and stepped in front. The little black pig nimbly dodged him and rammed straight into Lu Xun's leg. Lu Xun's face darkened, and he lifted his foot to kick. Brother Lu, don't, I cried out anxiously. The little black pig was hoisted up by the scruff of its neck by Lu Shu. Its four hooves flailed in midair as it let out a piercing scream. Its small eyes stared straight at me, dark and glossy, as if filled to the brim with hatred. Piglets are usually gentle, yet now it was so agitated, so excited. Hurtling desperately toward Lu Xun, a wildly absurd thought suddenly surged up in my mind. The Taoist said that if the decoction is fed for 99 days to an extremely yin woman, Xue Qingyu's soul will be reborn in this woman's body. But over these 99 days of decoctions, every single bowl was drunk by the little black pig. Then, Xue Qingyu's soul, could it be? What's with this beast? Lu Xun frowned, slapping at the robe that had been nosed, disgusted. Where did this pig come from? The steward from the villa hurried forward and explained nervously, reporting to you, my lord, it's from the villa. Lu Xun's brows knit even tighter, his tone turning cold. Beat it to death. Yes, sir. Lu Shu hoisted the pig and was about to leave. The little black pig squealed even louder, its voice as sharp as a knife, its hooves kicking wildly as it struggled desperately. Wait, I spoke. Brother Lu, this is my first day back. I don't want to see blood. This little pig is spirited and is welcoming me along with everyone else, so don't kill it. Shall we take it back to the capital? Her words were soft and sweet, the ending rising, with a hint of coquettishness. This was Xue Qingyu's usual trick, using the gentlest tone to say the toughest things, making it impossible to argue. Sure enough, Lu Xun couldn't resist, his expression visibly softened. Forget it. If you like it, keep it. The itinerant Taoist priest seemed to have noticed something and suddenly spoke. My lord, allow this poor Daoist to cast another divination for Miss Xue, to see how well her soul aligns with this body. He pulled 3 copper coins from his sleeve, pressed them together in his palm, then scattered them onto the stone table. The copper coin clinked as it rolled a few times and came to a stop. The Taoist priest lowered his head and glanced at it. He looked again, his face changed dramatically. 7. What's wrong? Lu Xun sensed something amiss and asked in a low voice. The Taoist priest quickly lifted his head, his gaze sweeping over my face. His lips moved. My lord, this, I suddenly spoke, cutting him off. Brother Lu, I don't want to stay at the manor anymore. It's so stuffy here, and there isn't even anyone to talk to. Can we go home soon, please? Lu Xun's attention was immediately drawn over. He looked at me, the tenderness in his eyes almost overflowing. All right, we'll go back right now. He turned and instructed Lu Shu to prepare the car, then personally smoothed the stray hairs at my temple and asked softly, are you tired on the way? Should I lay 2 layers of bedding in the car? Yes, I nodded, obediently saying, also candied fruit, to eat on the way. Okay. He took my hand and led me out. As I passed by the Taoist priest, my steps paused slightly. The Taoist priest kept his head down, staring fixedly at the 3 copper coins on the table, a bead of cold sweat slowly sliding down his temple. His lips moved slightly, as if murmuring something. I vaguely heard a few words. Extreme yin, soul, beast. He calculated correctly. The little black pig is also of extreme yin constitution. The little black pig drank medicinal soup for 99 days. I said lightly, many thanks to the Daoist for your help. which allowed us lovers to finally become husband and wife, we will forever hold gratitude toward you." The daoist trembled all over and looked at me in disbelief. He's a smart man, he's already divined that I was never possessed by Shwe Qingyu in the first place. The one who was truly possessed is the little black pig Shwe Qingyu, she was reborn into the little black pig Tilda, but the Taoist can't say, and doesn't dare to say, this truth, because the enraged Lu Xun would kill him without distinguishing right from wrong. As long as he keeps his mouth shut, I, Shwe Qingyu, will grant him boundless wealth. He can tell good from bad. Sure enough, the daoist's face turned alternately pale and green, and in the end he could only force a smile. "Congratulations, my lord, congratulations, my lady." 8 By the time the carriage rumbled into the capital, 3 days had already passed. The vermilion-lacquered gates of the Lu residence slowly opened in the twilight. The 2 gilded characters Lu residence on the lintel brushed with a dusky glow by the setting sun. The maids and old servants all dropped to their knees in unison, their voices crisp and clear. "Welcome home, my lord, welcome home, my lady." I stepped down from the carriage with my hand on Lu Xun's arm. He held my hand the whole way, leading me through the drooping flower gate, around the screen wall, along the covered corridor, his pace unhurried, as if afraid I might tire if I walked too fast. Every time we passed somewhere, he would whisper to me where it was and what it was used for, his voice as gentle as if coaxing a child new to the place. "This is Listening to the Rain Pavilion. You used to love reading here. This is Lotus Fragrance Lodge. In summer the pond is full of lotuses. You said it was even more beautiful than in paintings. This is..." He suddenly stopped. In front of us was a moon gate. Inside was a small courtyard with a few green bamboos, and in the corner a swing whose ropes were tied with a faded ribbon. Lu Xun's voice lowered. "This is your courtyard. After you left, I had people keep it cleaned. Nothing has been touched." I lowered my eyes and said nothing. This is my first time visiting Shwe Qingyu's courtyard, but I didn't show the slightest hint of unfamiliarity. I simply let out a soft sigh, my voice delicate. Still the same as ever. Lu Xun drew me a little closer to his side and said solemnly, "The entire Lu residence is yours." That very night, Lu Xun had all the house tokens and keys delivered to my room. The steward bowed, exceedingly respectful. "My lord has instructed that from now on, all affairs of the residence are to follow Madam's direction." I flipped through a few pages of the ledgers, then set them down. "It's not that I don't understand, although I, Shen Yunying, sell flowers, my skill at accounting is no worse than anyone's. I just find it a bit ridiculous." Lu Xun handed me the housekeeper's authority not out of trust, but because he felt that Shwe Qingyu had returned, and this home finally had a true mistress. The better he treats me, the clearer I become. None of that gentleness, that thoughtfulness, that careful, tender care was meant for Shen Yunyin. They were meant for Shwe Qingyu, and I am nothing more than a counterfeit, wearing Shwe Qingyu's skin, speaking Shwe Qingyu's words, making Shwe Qingyu's expressions. This feeling was confirmed the very next day. On the 3rd day after returning to the residence, Lu Xun had a day off. He held a brocade box in his hands. Inside was a pair of mutton-fat jade bangles, of excellent quality, glowing softly in the sunlight. "Qingyu, see if you like them." He sat across from me and put them on for me himself. The bracelet was cool against my wrist bone, making my arm look even fairer. I smiled and said it looked good. Lu Xun smiled too, his gaze as tender as melting sugar. He sat for a while longer, then suddenly seemed to remember something and spoke casually. "By the way, do you remember how, when you were little, you desperately wanted a dwarf pony? Your father wouldn't buy one for you, so you cried for a whole day. In the end, I took out the New Year's money I'd saved for 3 years and bought you one." When he said this, there was a smile at the corner of his mouth. My fingers curled slightly inside my sleeve. "A dwarf pony? Kuya never told me about this." The maid's chit-chat, the steward's nagging, even the kitchen matron's gossip. I scraped up every scrap of information about Shwe Qingyu, and the only thing I never heard was any mention of a short-legged pony. This was perfectly normal. Shwe Qingyu had lived for 20 years, countless days and nights, countless trivial details. I can't possibly learn every word she said, every move she made, every memory of her. Lu Xun did it unintentionally. He was just casually bringing up something from the past, like the most ordinary small talk between a husband and wife, but to me, that offhand remark was a blade hanging over my head. I lowered my eyes, pressed my fingertips to my temples, and softened my voice even more. Brother Lou, my head has been foggy these past few days, and I can't think clearly about many things. Perhaps it's because I've only just returned and my body hasn't fully recovered yet. Lu Xun's smile paused slightly, his gaze was suspicious then. He resumed that gentle expression, reached out to rub my temples, and said with concern, "It was my oversight. You just got back. I shouldn't have brought up those stressful things. Rest well and we'll talk about it when you're fully recovered." I leaned against his shoulder, eyes closed, obedient like a cat. Everything seemed normal, but the moment his fingers touched my skin, I felt an extremely subtle stiffness. What is he thinking? I don't know, but I'm very clear about one thing: this lie won't hold for long. 9. Lu Xun isn't a fool. He is the vice minister of the Dali court, having tried countless cases. His greatest skill is reading people and unraveling the threads. If today he can casually ask about one thing I don't know, tomorrow he'll ask about 10. Once his suspicions pile up enough, he'll investigate. He'll consult a Daoist priest, sift through Xue Qingyu's belongings, and verify, piece by piece, whether I am truly Xue Qingyu. By then, I'd have only one way out: death. No. Worse than death. I don't dare think any further. I must strike first before Lu Xun grows suspicious. 10. That night, by the light of the moon, I quietly went to the back garden. The Taoist was lodged by Lu Xun in a guest room at the northwest corner of the residence, grandly termed enshrinement, but in truth a disguised form of house arrest, exactly the same treatment I received at the manor. I stood before his door and knocked softly 3 times. The door opened. When the Taoist saw it was me, his expression changed slightly. An oil lamp was lit in the room, its flame flickering, casting his shadow on the wall, swaying to and fro. He was extremely nervous. "Madam, visiting so late at night, what brings you here?" I didn't beat around the bush. "Give me a drug, colorless and tasteless. It won't take effect immediately, but it will slowly be fatal." The Taoist stepped back half a pace, and the dusting whisk in his sleeve nearly fell to the ground. "I'm going to kill Lu Xun," I said bluntly. "You're insane." The Taoist lowered his voice, almost roaring. "This poor priest owes Lord Lu a great debt. You owe him a debt." I let out a soft laugh. "What you owe are his silver coins, aren't they?" The Taoist opened his mouth but didn't say a word. I took a step forward. The lamplight flickered across my face, casting my expression in shifting light and shadow. "Dao Zhong, let me do the math for you. How much silver did Lu Xun give you? 1,000 taels? 2,000 taels? Is it enough to last you a lifetime?" The Taoist did not answer. "Even if you have money to burn," I lowered my voice, low enough that only the two of us could hear, "you still need to live long enough to spend it." The Taoist's eyes flew wide open. "Lu Xun, who is he?" "You know better than I do," I said word by word. "He, in order to resurrect Xue Qingyu, can design an innocent woman, frame her father, confine her at the manor for 3 months, and feed her drugs like feeding a pig. Do you think he would keep you, the one who knows all the secrets?" The Daoist's breath became rapid. "Xue Qingyu has been reborn. You are already useless, a person who knows too many secrets and is of no use. How do you think we should deal with you?" You're talking nonsense." The Daoist's voice trembled. "Master Lu isn't that kind of person. He could even kill his own wife," I said calmly. "What are you?" The Taoist's face turned pale. "I've heard," my voice airy, as if speaking of something trivial, "that the Dali Temple has been investigating an old case. Recently, it seems to be about a wandering Taoist pretending to be divine and cheating people out of their money. I wonder if this Taoist happens to have the surname Zhong." The Taoist suddenly looked up, his pupils constricting. His voice had completely changed tone. "How did you know?" "Of course I guessed, but I didn't need to tell him. Lu Xun is already weaving charges." I leaned against the doorframe, my tone indifferent. "Once he's ready, you'll be thrown into prison. With his skills as deputy minister of the Dali Temple, framing you for spreading heresy or plotting treason is nothing more than a flick of his finger. Whether you live or die will be decided by his whim." The Taoist's lips trembled. "You can go and accuse me." I suddenly shifted my tone. smiling as I looked at him. Go tell Lu Xun that Shen Yunying wasn't usurped by Xue Qingyu, that the real Xue Qingyu is in that pig. Go and tell him. You can try. My voice was very soft, as light as a feather, but each word was as heavy as lead. After you say it, what will your fate be? I held up a finger and counted them off to him one by one. First, Lu Xun won't believe you. He saw with his own eyes me wearing Xue Qingyu's clothes, wearing Xue Qingyu's hairpin, speaking Xue Qingyu's words. He's already been fooled. You suddenly run over and tell him, sir, you've been deceived. Who do you think he'll believe? Sweat beaded on the Taoist's temples. Second, even if he did believe you, so what? Would he admit that he spent 99 days, ruined an innocent woman, and in the end stuffed his beloved soul into a pig's body? Would he admit his a joke? The Taoist's face had gone so pale it had no color left. Third, I held up my third finger, my voice suddenly turning cold. If you dare utter a single word, I'll be the first to kill you. I took a step forward. Taoist, think carefully. Your situation now is, go forward and you die. Go back and you die. Lu Xun won't spare you, and neither will I. The only way to survive is to help me. The Taoist priest slumped in the chair, his whole body seeming to have had all his strength drawn from him. He fell silent for a long time. The oil lamp crackled once, and the room was so quiet that you could hear the breaths of two people. The Taoist fumbled from a secret compartment under the bed and pulled out a porcelain bottle, white glaze, no pattern, only the bottle neck sealed with red wax. This medicine is colorless and tasteless, dissolving at once when placed in water. 2 hours after ingestion it takes effect. First comes abdominal pain like being wrung, then the internal organs slowly rot. There is no cure. I took the porcelain bottle and weighed it in my palm. Thank you, Daoist priest. I turned to leave, but the priest suddenly called after me from behind. Shen Yunying. I turned my head. He sat in the dim light, his whole being like a withered piece of wood. Aren't you afraid of retribution? I looked at him and fell silent for a moment. Then I smiled, not Xue Qingyu's smile, but Shen Yunying's smile, the smile of that brisk, streetwise person selling apricot blossoms at the street corner. Taoist priest, when you helped Lu Xun harm an innocent woman, did you ever consider facing retribution? The Daoist fell silent. 11. The next evening, I personally cooked a bowl of tea soup. We're using Lu Xun's favorite Luan Guapian. Bring spring water to a boil, rinse the tea once, then pour in hot water and let it steep for a moment. The liquor turns a clear amber. I poured the powder from the porcelain vial in and stirred it with a teaspoon as expected. The powder was colorless and tasteless. The tea's color, aroma, and flavor didn't change at all. I carried a tea tray, walked through the covered corridor, and headed toward Lu Xun's study. I had barely gone halfway when I heard a burst of commotion ahead. The maids were shrieking, the servants were running back and forth, mixed with the sounds of things being knocked over. Quick, catch it, quick, ran off again, it went that way. The little black pig was just charging out through the moon gate. It was a size bigger than it had been at the manor, barreling straight ahead with a crowd of flustered servants in hot pursuit. It ran extremely fast, like a black lightning bolt, darting left and right through the courtyard, but it didn't knock over any flower pots or maidservants. Instead, it charged straight to the end of the path. The path was paved with blue flagstones. It had rained 2 days earlier, and the surface still held a touch of damp mud. The little black pig stopped, lowered its head, and began scraping at the muddy ground with its hoof. Once, twice, 3 times. Its hooves were small and hard, carving line after line into the soft, wet mud. The marks were crooked and wobbly, like a child's doodles, but gradually they pieced together into a shape. The character, it is writing its own surname. What's all the noise about? Lu Xun's voice came through. He stood in the corridor with his hands behind his back, frowning at the mess. The grooms hurriedly knelt down to beg for forgiveness. Forgive us, my lord. That pig ran out again. The lowly ones will. Lu Xun's gaze fell to the muddy ground, his brows furrowed slightly. Then he crouched down and looked at the crooked character on the ground for quite a while. Did it write this? His voice revealed no emotion. The young servant answered timidly, my lord, it scraped it out with its hooves. Lu Xun was silent for a moment, then suddenly let out a soft laugh. Clever, aren't you? He turned his head and saw me, his gaze softening a little. Qingyu, did you teach him? I gave an innocent, guileless smile. I didn't teach it, it just knows on its own, must be born smart. Lu Xun reached out to take the tea tray from my hands, a touch of fondness in his tone. The pig you raised naturally takes after you. You've trained it well. He lowered his head to smell the aroma of the tea, praised it with a so fragrant, and was about to bring it to his lips. Brother Lu, I suddenly spoke, with a touch of coquettish reproach. You won't even praise the tea I made, only that pig. Lu Xun lifted the teacup, his smile deepening. All right, I'll praise you, I'll praise you. The tea Qingyu makes is the best tasting tea under heaven. He lowered his head and took a sip. My heart jumped up into my throat. How does it taste? Delicious. The fingers clutching my sleeve slowly relaxed. Night fell. Lu Xun lay beside me. On the couch, a small ramhorn lamp was lit inside the canopy. He turned onto his side, propping his head with one hand, and with the other he gently played with my hair. Qingyu, do you remember, before you died, I made you a promise? I lay on the pillow, my fingers slightly clenched under the blanket. A promise? What promise? 12. Kuya never told me about any promise. Those letters in Lu Xun's study, Xue Qingyu's belongings, the maid's gossip, none of them mention any promise. My mind was racing, but I kept my expression flawless. Lu Gij, I've felt a bit dizzy these days, and many things I can't remember. I've used this line once in the carriage, once in the study, and now this is the third time. But this time, Lu Xun didn't gently take it as he had before. His fingers paused, just for a brief moment, then he continued to fiddle with it, the voice still gentle. Can't remember. Yeah, I closed my eyes, feigning fatigue, probably just back, body not fully recovered yet. Is that so, Lu? Xun's voice was very soft. It was quiet inside the canopy for a moment. I felt his gaze fall on my face, inch by inch, as if he wanted to etch my every expression into his eyes. Qingyu, after you came back, you didn't remember anything. His tone was very slow. I didn't speak. You don't remember the pony? His voice was even, slow, like one judging a case, laying out evidence point by point. You don't write poems anymore either. 2 days ago I looked at what you wrote. Your handwriting was different from before. I thought your soul had changed after possession, so I didn't ask more. You have no memories of childhood. When I talk about the past, you always say you're dizzy, you can't remember. Now, you don't even remember the most important promise I made to you. His fingers stopped at my hair, not moving. Qingyu, his voice suddenly grew softer, so light that it was like a feather landing on the surface of the water. Are you really Qingyu after all? The air inside the tent froze. The flame of the ramhorn lamp flickered, casting his shadow onto the canopy, like a bird spreading its wings. I slowly sat up like a lotus rising from the water, staring straight at him under the dim, yellow light. His face was half bright and half dark, one half in the light, the other in shadow. Those eyes were still beautiful, deep and soulful, like 2 bottomless pools. But at this moment, what was reflected in those pools wasn't tenderness, it was suspicion. He is suspicious. 13. But I am not afraid. There is even a hint of relief. For over 100 days, I put on an act, imitating a dead person's every move, every frown and smile, engraving all her habits, preferences, and manner of speaking into my very bones. I'm tired, truly tired. I looked at Lu Xun and suddenly smiled. Lu Xun, I am not Xue Qingyu, I am Shen Yunying. I am your wife, the one you framed and tricked into marriage, kept confined at the estate and fed medicine for 99 days, waiting to be taken over by your little childhood sweetheart, Shen Yunying. Lu Xun suddenly sat bolt upright. He stared fixedly at me, like a beast that had finally spotted its prey. 14. You, then what about Qingyu? Under the dim, yellow light, his face twisted, all the tenderness, all the affection, all the indulgence shattered in that instant, revealing what lay beneath. It was fear. He was scared. Where is Qingyu? He asked again, his voice trembling. I slowly started to smile. Lu Xun, do you remember that little black pig on Zhuangzi? Lu Xun was stunned. It was also born under an ill moon at an ill hour. His face turned pale. You had the Daoist perform a ritual to find an extremely yin woman born in an ill-omened month and hour, feed her medicinal decoctions for 99 days, and have Xue Qingyu's soul reborn in her body. My voice was as calm as if reciting a confession. But you forgot one thing on that manor. I wasn't the only one born at an ill-omened month and hour. Lu Xun's eyes widened more and more. I didn't drink a single drop of that 99 days of decoction. I stood barefoot on the ground, moonlight leaking in through the window gap and shining on my face. Every bowl was drunk by that little black pig. Lu Xun sat on the couch like a stone statue, mouth agape, completely motionless. Then he suddenly thrust out his hand and clamped it around my neck. You, his fingers tightened, nails digging into my flesh. You venomous woman, you deserve to die. He wanted to strangle me with all his strength, but his fingers were trembling, his arms were trembling. Something inside his body was collapsing inch by inch. He lowered his head, staring at his own hands in disbelief. His voice changed, turning weak and terrified. What did you make me drink? I didn't struggle and let him squeeze my neck because I knew he no longer had the strength. Duan Chang, colorless and tasteless, dissolves the moment it hits water. Lu Xun's face turned deathly pale. He let go of my neck, clutched his abdomen, and his body began curling up uncontrollably. You, Shen Yunying, you dare, why wouldn't I? I crouched down and looked him squarely in the eye. His eyes were all bloodshot, his pupils already beginning to blur. Lu Xun, to save the one you love you can destroy an innocent woman's life. You can frame my father, use me as bait, lock me in the manor for 3 months, force me to take medicine like feeding a pig. Do you think I don't dare kill you? Lu Xun's lips were trembling, beads of sweat broke out on his forehead, rolled down his cheeks, and soaked his collar. You think, if you kill me, you can live? He gritted his teeth and said, if I die, the Court of Judicial Review will investigate. You'll be executed by Ling Kai. Who would report it? I asked lightly. If you die, everyone in the Lu household answers to me. I'll say you died suddenly of illness. I'll manage the mourning, the coffin, the cremation, the burial, everything in one go. For the Court of Judicial Review to investigate, someone has to file a complaint. Tell me, of the people in your mansion, how many do you think would dare to file one for you? Lu Xun's body began to convulse. He curled up on the couch, clutching his abdomen with both hands, his face ashen. He let out a muffled sound, barely a breath. I leaned in closer, and only then could I barely make it out. Qingyu, Qingyu. He was calling Xue Qingyu's name. I slowly smiled. Don't worry, little black pig saved my life. I will never kill it. Xue Qingyu can live her whole life happily in the little pig's body, healthy and lively. Wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? Lu Xun's gaze shifted from anger to despair, and from despair to emptiness. You. His fingers clutched at the mattress, scratching a few white marks across the satin, then slowly released. At dawn the next day, the Lu residence hung white mourning banners. Lu Xun suffered a sudden heart attack and died of a violent illness. The maids and young servants burst into tears altogether. Officials from the Court of Judicial Review came and asked a few questions. I said my husband truly had chest discomfort these past few days. The imperial physician had also come to see him and prescribed a remedy, but I never expected it to happen so suddenly. I cried like pear blossoms in the rain. Unable to form a complete sentence, unable to bear asking further, they offered a few words of comfort and left. The little black pig was locked in the sty, lying on the ground without moving. I told her, Miss Xue, your brother Lu is dead. The little black pig opened its eyes. Those little eyes were jet black and round, staring straight at me. They were different from before. No more hatred, no more anger, only calm remained, like that first meeting in Zhuangzi. I gently patted its head. It neither dodged nor nudged me, just lay there quietly, letting my hand rub over its rough fur. From now on, you'll come with me. I won't let anyone hurt you. The end.